Well, hello everybody. It's March 29th and we are still here at Crazy Town. Going to discuss last night's activity or almost lack thereof, but at the same time there was quite a bit, if that makes any sense. No. So I'll start off with, with what I experienced and we'll move over to the other guys. But was sitting here and um, over across the creek, over that way. Started getting a little bit of a light show. Kind of looked like static discharge going off, and some twinkle lights, and then I felt like I had somebody standing behind me. You get that feeling somebody's behind you. I had that feeling. Nobody could see anything because it was so dark. And then it was like I call it a distortion, but it was like a wavy pattern of energy. I mean, it's hard to describe. If you think about like you're driving down the road and you see the heat coming off the road and you get kind of like that illusion of, wavy pattern. That's what it looked like, and it was all around us, and I mean it was literally everywhere. Never really had any spectacular feelings, uh, feelings of elation or deep intense love. It was kind of a dry night as far as that goes, but there was just, there was a lot of movement, and kind of off in the direction that the camera's pointing right now. You see Rob's tent and then my truck. Well, the tree that's right after my truck, but it closest to us, I saw an individual standing on the left side of that tree, and as soon as I noticed him, I got zapped, and then Greg noticed that there was a skunk in the camp, and so attention got moved immediately to the skunk, and we chased him off. We have a little thing that we do is ba 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 ba, and skunks just kind of that don't like that sound, so they leave for the most part. But anyway, and you can see farther back on left of my truck, and there's another little tent thing over there. Well, in between them, 3 different times last night, I got pretty solid eye glow coming from over there, and at one point across the creek, I got eye glow. But that was pretty much about the extent of my experience the last night. If I had to rate last night on a scale of 1 to 10, I'd probably put it at a 2. Maybe a 3, as far as interaction. Not really any type of communication whatsoever, no warm and fuzzy feelings. It was just visual of movement and some twinkle lights and some distortions. I do understand that, majority of the people that are out doing this may never experience any of that. And I kind of treat it like, it's like, yeah. It's just how the experiences out here go. So last night, was kind of a dry night. And that's my take on it. Rob, you're next.
It was kind of a dead night. I'd give it a solid 2. Definitely didn't hit the 3. Uh, you had better views. You were looking this way. I don't know if we've ever discussed it, but we sit kind of in a circle, and so I was looking at the hill. And if you roll around, so that's my view that I had. Chris was about there, so we have eyes at 360, and stuff happens. Normally I feel and I know that they're here or something like that, or if one's close, it was a really dead night for me. I had visuals where, okay, they're here. I just didn't feel it. It's hard to explain, but there was some twinkles, very faint, but I was seeing them. Chris was seeing them too. In fact, I wasn't sure I was seeing them until he asked if I saw that, and I said, okay, yeah, it's confirmed. But it was a fairly dead evening. But the one thing I think that they were here, I said didn't feel it. We got into pretty good discussion of spiritual matters. We'll just leave it at that. And with the forest people, our friends, what you say, your conversations you have will repel them or will attract them. And when you were talking about what you maybe think they are, or your theories of God or religion or stuff like that, you attract them. If you talk of things like war, gun, shooting, killing, you repel them. Especially they don't want their young ones near there. Take my word for it or not. That's me babbling. And
Hi, Kathy. I had to get that in
oh
there.
yeah, hi Kathy. Hi honey.
He's hiding a cigarette.
Oh, I got smoke blowing.
No, Rob was touching on what I was going to touch on, you know. I mean, I don't ever want to give the impression that we come out here and have these absolutely spectacular events occur every time we come out, because that's not the case. I don't ever want it to look overblown. There are times where we've had extraordinary things occur and times where we've had nothing occur. And they're about as frequent as the other. You know, last night was not a extraordinary night by any standard. I think Rob's right. I think that we got into a pretty heated spiritual debate last night. And I was going to say the same thing that Rob said, that a lot of times when we're talking about maybe like a higher vibrational topic or something that resonates or seems to resonate with these guys, a lot of times, and we don't do it on purpose, like, oh, let's talk about the Bible and see what happens. Like, that's not what happens. You know, we don't. I think the days of the Arizona Four trying to provoke responses are no, that's not wasn't always the case.
Yeah.
It was not like you know, don't get the impression, like, you know, back when I started with these guys, we used to ritually gift, and it was a thing. You know, we used to try and get them to participate. You know, and I think we realized that was kind of a hit or miss anyway, and it didn't matter. It didn't matter. Like, you know, I've had that conversation with other people engaged in this phenomenon that are still heavily engaged in that. I don't mock it. You know, like, you know, everybody's journey's different, and you know, if you're still out there, you're trying to provoke a response, have at it. You know, that's fine. We don't do it anymore because we haven't found the need to anymore. I think that we've been in these primary locations long enough. We believe we've established a rapport with these guys, and it's not required. You know, we'll still sometimes leave some cookies out on the kitchen bench or something like that, but it's more like of a neighborly thing. It's not like, you know, we're trying to catch anything. You know,
We've moved on beyond that. When I say we, the forest people.
Am I talking or are you talking?
You're talking, but I just had to throw my 2 cents in.
Take,
Shut off.
Shut up. So that's about the vibe here on a regular, actually. You know, I think one of the great things about this as a collective is that we're all coming at it. We're not all lockstep with what we may think is happening, what our beliefs are. We have some communal things that we all agree on, that this is happening, that it's real. We all witness some of the visuals that occur. I don't know if we're always in agreement with what those visuals stand for. Most of this stuff is just up for debate and conjecture. You know, some of us seem to receive more communication than others, and that's fine. I don't think that's an indicator of anything other than that's just the way it is. You know, during our heated, and it was heated because we have 3 of us that don't all lean into the same thing spiritually. I think we're all swinging in the same direction, but we've got definitely different stances on some of this stuff, you know, and that's fine. I don't think it makes us any better or any worse than the other. It just brings some lively debate to the table, which I appreciate, you know. As far as the evening goes, I think the skunk in the camp was the highlight of the night. You know, that's always interesting. We've had times out here where they've gotten into tents, and that's interesting. You know, you know, being set at different vantage points, we're all kind of witnessing different things. Rob and I were kind of lined up in the same area, and we were seeing the same stuff. You know, and you know what this twinkle light phenomenon is. You know, that's up for debate and conjecture. You know, we don't know why it happens. We just know that it seems to happen when they're around. You know, we don't know we never know what's going to happen. We never have any idea. There's been nights where literally nothing's happened, you know, or something so minute that we can't. Maybe we'll attribute it to some phenomenon related to these guys, and maybe it's not. You know, one weird thing that's going on for the last couple of nights is there is like a howling and barking going on in places where there's no other people around, and sometimes it sounds like a dog, sometimes it sounds like a bunch of really loud dogs. Sometimes it doesn't sound like a dog, but it's all emanating from the same spot. And, you know, conjecture there. Sometimes we've had these guys mimic other animals, but it's so loud that it's almost laughable that they would think that we would believe that would be, you know, like we've had barn owl or owl hoots out here.
300-pound owls.
Yeah, like Rob said, that it's got to come from an owl with a diaphragm like a gorilla. You know what I mean? Let's say just a really loud hoot. You know, I don't think I had anything going on after we called it last night. I didn't hear anything, and I slept pretty good. So yeah, it was a great night. I'm looking forward to another night out. You know, I'll get back to that spiritual debate last night. It was engaging, passionate, and fun. And I do believe, like Rob does, and I know Kevin does, that when we touch on spiritual matters, it absolutely draws them in. And I know, like, we all have different gifts in this a little bit. And I think one of my gifts is I can detect the shift in energies in our spots. I've said that since I've been out. And I believe in that. And I know that the energy shifted in when we were having that conversation. And it lasted for a good 45 minutes to an hour. It was a long, you know, without a lot of common ground. A little bit of common ground, but you know, and the energy shifted during that. And you know what? Last night was peaceful. It was a peaceful night. It wasn't. We weren't necessarily all peaceful. I mean, we're not going to our separate corners for timeouts, but it got
We were their entertainment last night.
We were the entertainment.
We were their entertainment last night.
And I think I love that. Like, you know what? We can sit out here. We all love each other, and we're all very close, and we trust each other implicitly, and we respect each other's views, you know. And that to me is priceless. You know, it's the draw for me, the phenomenon itself, and then the camaraderie amongst my friends. And none of us has a small brain, and we're all deep into some of these topics and passionate about it. You know, and it showed last night. You know, and that at the end of it, we were hugging each other. We love each other. You know, so I love being here. I love this spot. This is the place where my hand was healed 3 years ago. Kevin and Rob, we've all had amazing things happen here, but it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen every time we come out. And you know what? It's just as great when it doesn't. You know, so I'm done. That was a long rant. Fires warmed this morning, and other than a little Ruka situation.
Next.
Inside joke. We're going to hand it over to Mr. McGregor, see what he's got to say about last night. Greggy?
It's a calm night.
Calm night?
Oh, yeah.
Man of many words.
But Greg did see the skunk and rescued us from a possible disaster.
Yeah, he did.
Well, I did forget one thing. Last night before I went to go to bed, I went to turn my phone on because I was bored and I was going to, you know, play a stupid game or two. My phone wouldn't turn on. Like the battery was dead. I'd pushed the on button and a little white flash and it was dead. This morning, I get up and I'm like, I wonder what time it is. Let me see if my phone will turn on. Turned right on in the first. So, my phone would not turn on last night. And say what you want, I had no alcohol and I know how to turn my phone on. So I had the feeling that they wanted me to go to sleep or something. I don't know. So they can come in and check out the coolers. But that was the only thing I forgot.
All right, and you know, we'll kind of get this finished up, but you know, a couple things that Chris said that, you know, I kind of want to touch on. You know,
That's not fair. You get to have the last word.
I'm the one holding the camera. You run the camera, you get the last word.
He's terrible.
Yeah, yeah. Go behind me.
Forrest,
Here. Let's just do it this way. Let's just go back and
as
forth.
far as people don't approve.
But and the key point is that when we come out and when I come out, every night is not a spectacular night. At this particular location, I'm more apt to have a night where nothing happens. But what I tell people is that, like when I first met Chris and Chris wanted to come out. And, so my thing that I tell people is I can't promise you anything's going to happen, but what I can promise you is I've never been out and not had something happen. Is it something big and spectacular all the time? No, there's a whole lot of sitting around and, might have one twinkle light or might hear, a rock clack, that they talk about rock clacks, but I think they're doing it more with their mouth than anything else. But
that piece of foliage that was left on a pebble on the rung of my ladder.
well, you'll get the last word. So I'll
tell him.
I'm talking now.
You tell him.
Son of a.
You can tell this isn't going to end well.
At ease. But so anyway, the other thing that, when people ask, do they do this, and the bottom line is the forest people, they do what they do when they do it, and so that's kind of why, we got to the point where, we're not doing stuff to try and provoke a response. In my humble opinion, it's kind of childish. If you look at it through the eyes of the forest people, it's kind of childish behavior. I was actually told something I was doing was childish.
Marco!
So for like 6 years, I would, Marco! And we were sitting here, weren't we?
Squatch camp.
Squatch camp. But I was getting ready to do the Marco, and I got the mind speak, don't do it, it's childish. And I was like, fine. Been doing it for 6 years. All I wanted you to do was say polo, but anyway, they do what they do when they do it. It's every encounter, every experience is 100% up to them. And, I'm not going to dive into more of what Rob and Chris were talking about with, charged subjects that we talk about. But it's the absolute truth. Your demeanor, your conversation has a lot to do with any interactions that you're going to have. And with that, I am going to say adieu. But Chris has something he wants to say. So, Rob, go ahead and so they can hear him.
Just one odd thing real quick. So I've had a gastral issue, a little bug for the last 36 hours, and I felt sick yesterday, and so I have a rooftop tent on top of my truck with a ladder, obviously, and so I went up and took a nap yesterday, and as I was coming down after my little snooze, there was I don't know what Kevin, what was that stuff called?
It's Usnea. It's old man's beard. It's a lichen.
So there was
It grows on the trees.
Usnea. There was a type of lichen that has medicinal properties that I had no idea. And
We make antibiotics out of it.
okay, they make some antibiotics can be made from it. And there was a little piece of this stuff with a pebble on top of it on a rung of my ladder when I was coming down. And I mean, could I have somehow picked it up with a boot and put it on there when I was getting in? That's a vague possibility, but there's none other of this lichen anywhere around where I'm camped. I haven't seen a piece of it. Plus, there was a little pebble on it that weighted it down so it wouldn't blow off with the wind. So I thought that was odd and interesting, and I don't know that was them giving me medication or not, but it was an interesting anomaly. So I just wanted to. That's one strange thing that happened. That was in the daytime yesterday. So anyway, I don't know how to turn this thing off. This is Kevin's
Push the red button.
deal. So anyway, we'll let Kevin sign us out.
All right, everybody. As always, Arizona 4, peace out.